This is Scott.
He needs to travel from Victoria to Toronto for a business trip, but he wants to be more aware of his carbon footprint with climate change. Welcome to my project, which is based on a more sustainable way to travel using train.
So, why should he take the train instead of a car or a plane? Let's get into some of the details. Trains are the best way to travel if we want to reach net zero, which means zero emissions. It uses 80% less energy than trucks per ton of freight carried and holds a 4-to-1 advantage over cars in terms of its emissions intensity. Rail only makes 4% of the global transport industry, and 70% of all goods in Canada are transported by rail. So, rail is a big part of the economy. He would have to drive to the ferry terminal, get on the ferry, and then get on the train. It is much more of a hassle, but let's look at the amount of carbon he emits rather than taking a direct flight. The drive from Brentwood to Victoria Airport emits around 11 kilograms of CO2. A flight from Victoria to Vancouver emits around 12 kilograms of carbon dioxide per passenger. So, if Scott wanted to travel from Victoria to Toronto by plane, his travels would emit around 409 kilograms of CO2. The drive from Brentwood to the Victoria Airport emits around 11 kilograms of CO2. A flight from Victoria to Vancouver emits around 12 kilograms of carbon dioxide per passenger. Between Vancouver and Toronto is 3,360 kilometers. If a plane emits 115 grams of CO2 per passenger per kilometer, one passenger will emit 386 kilograms for this trip. So, if Scott wanted to travel from Victoria to Toronto by plane, his travels would emit 409 kilograms of CO2. In comparison, the car ferry train method would emit 36 kilograms of CO2. But while traveling by plane, Scott would emit 409 kilograms of CO2. So, by taking the plane, Scott uses 11 times more CO2 than he would by taking the train. But here are some advantages of using the train and some disadvantages. Trains use around 76% less CO2 than any other way of transport, but trains take almost double the time to get to their destination. In conclusion, Scott should take the train since he has 4 days to get there, and if he wants to be more environmentally friendly. But if he needs to get somewhere fast, a plane might be a better option. First, I researched my topic. I wanted to do something about trains because I grew up living near the Pacific Coastliner, which is a train line in California. When we couldn't drive, we took the train, and so for my project, I wanted to do something about sustainable travel. I then created my How Might I statement, which was how might I create a sustainable way to travel that reduces CO2 emissions? My topic and started to form my project and solution. Then I started to build my final project, which was an informational video and a 3D model of a sustainable train. At the beginning of this project, the Meta 9 teachers talked about the 3 pillars of sustainability: environmental, social, and economic. And my project connects to all 3. It connects to the environment because it creates a sustainable option for travel that reduces CO2 emissions. Reaching out to people and convincing them to help combat climate change, as well as making the world sustainable, connects to the social pillar. The rail network also transports important goods and freight across countries, and it can move a lot more people than a plane or a car, which benefits the economy. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something new about the environment, trains, and a more sustainable way to travel.